The article that I am reporting on for dealing with change is 5 Tips for Effectively Managing Change by Eric Morgan. It appeared in Inc. magazine. This article focuses mostly on the managerial side of organizational change, particularly dealing with employees, making the announcement of change, and then helping people deal with it. The first step he lists is probably the most practical of all of them, and that is set the expectation to employees that change is inevitable. Often people's expectations are that things are going to stay the same, and change, when it comes along, clashes with that expectation and kind of becomes disaster. And for some reason, employees seem to think that the workplace is a stable environment. When in fact, if a company is going to continue to operate and evolve and thrive, change is going to happen. Change is inevitable. Um, Turnover is inevitable. Evolution is inevitable. And the author's point is to set the expectation among employees that change is going to happen. Things are not going to be this way forever. If they do, then the company's probably going to go out of business, which is going to cause change anyway. Set the tone that the expectation is that the company will grow, and with growth comes change, so that when this does happen, it's not unexpected. Number two, understand the "how will this affect me" principle. This is often many people's automatic response to change. Um, and if you are a manager and you specifically haven't instilled that team mindset into your employees, this is going to be a really prevalent response. Um, and if it is not, if that sense of team mindset is not instilled in your team, then you can expect that productivity is going to drop as organizational changes occur. Number three, never package a negative change as a positive one. This had the funniest quote I may have ever heard. The author is really using an extreme example to make a point, but don't approach the employees by saying, "Oh, I know you're getting a pay cut, but hey, how about a round of applause for less taxes?" That one kind of cracked me up. It caught me off guard. I actually laughed out loud. Uh, the point he's trying to make is that when you have to announce change, just state the facts. This is what is happening. Don't sugarcoat things. Just tell them what's going on. In other words, treat them like adults is really what it comes down to. They might not act like adults all the time, but treat them like adults. Number four is embrace the change cycle. This is very similar to the grief cycle we've all heard about. There's no one size fits all solution when it comes to helping employees manage the change cycle, but the cycle always remains the same from person to person. And it is these steps: the feelings of loss, discomfort, discovery, understanding, and integration. I think this occurs not only on the employee level, your direct reports level, but it goes all the way up to the CEO. When there's major, massive organizational shifts, a lot of CEOs are going to go through this same cycle just because it's human nature. And after an organizational shift, some employees may take a couple of hours to go through these steps and accept the change. Some people may take months. So you kind of have to walk through this with employees and try to help them through the change as best you can. But there are going to sometimes be those people that are really never going to accept it, and that leads to tip number five, which is watch out for the underminers. Um, when my wife and I had a retail store and announced that we were closing, there were a couple of our employees that really could not accept that change and really kind of became bitter about it, to the point that the one of our employees got fired because the attitude just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And really, ultimately, when it comes down to it, your only option as a manager, as a supervisor, is to say, look, you're not happy here. So why don't you go home and find something that makes you happy? It's time to leave. Uh, and really, that's the way you kind of have to deal with it with those people. The author, says approach them directly and say, look, it's been 3 months since we made this announcement. Are you making steps to accept it? Are you ever going to accept it? And if not, it's time to sever ties with them. It's like weeds. Once you let them uh, get rooted and start to grow, they're going to choke out the flowers. And that kind of resistance, can really hinder even a CEO's ability to effectively manage a company. People don't deal well with change, and some people will actually, in some cases, undermine the system. Without getting political, we're seeing a lot of that right now in our society. So two changes, because I like to, or two quotes, because I like to end these with quotes. Mary Shelley in Frankenstein said, "Nothing is so painful to the human mind as a great and sudden change." But I think Lao Tzu had a better beat of it. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like.